Welcome to Corks and Convo, a podcast that dives into real life topics. I'm your host, Regina, and I'm here with Tiffany and Shadon. We will be talking each week about topics that women over 50 are experiencing. So, whether you're 18 or 80 or somewhere in between, or you're just curious about our conversations, you're in the right place. We're here to empower our listeners to embrace their own journey. So grab your AirPods, your headphones, and some wine, settle in, and let's have an uncorked, authentic conversation. Okay, ladies, today's topic is frenemies. Have either of you experienced a frenemy? Tiffany?
Uh, a frenemy. So for me, a frenemy I have experienced. I've had a friend for over 30 years. We kind of went separate ways. And I want to say my experience stemmed from me and when I started to grow as an individual, trying to better myself, not do the things I did as a teenager. But as I started to grow, I noticed that my frenemy started to grow distance away from me. So that was my experience. It just seemed as if we were not able to align anymore. The things she liked, I didn't like. There was a lot of talking going on that kind of made us go our separate ways. But yes, I have experienced a frenemy. Not a good feeling at all.
I agree. Shadon?
So I had a good friend that I went to school with, like in elementary school. It's been a long journey with her. And one time she had sent me like a message, and you can see that she started to see me as I posted pictures of me and another girl that is a really good friend of mine's on social media. And she would say, like little logos like, you're not with your friend today. What's going on with you and your friend? Y'all not hanging out today? And I was, kind of dumbfounded, like, nah, we're not hanging out today or whatever. And, I didn't think anything of it until like, one day, she had, asked me a question about that particular girl. And I had to weigh the options at that moment. Like I was like, I don't kind of play about that one right there. We're not gonna question me about who I hang with, when I hang with her, or what I'm gonna do. So I was like, right then and there, in my mind, like the friendship was over. It was no coming back because I didn't know, I didn't get involved in see what they had going on. I was just an innocent bystander, but it looks like it was even my friend that I was, really protecting was an innocent bystander. Like this particular woman had just some animosity going on, and she thought, how like women see someone and you look like somebody they know. I saw you with, my man. It looked like that was her or something like that. So I think it was, some underhanded stuff there. I just was like, listen, I don't play. I just like, and she should have known me from even when I was young, really not playing. But I was like, I'm when I have my fave five, and I don't play about them. I never was a person that had a lot of friends when I was young. So when I say a friend, it's really a friend.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, no, ma'am, absolutely not. Can't do it.
Okay, let me read the definition of a frenemy. I should have started off with this, and then I'm going to tell you my experience. A
Mm-hmm.
frenemy is a person who appears friendly but acts as a rival or enemy. Combined characters of both a friend and an enemy, often due to resentment, competition, or insecurities. So I know I've told you both this story, but I had a girlfriend who we had been friends over 52 years, like from the cradle all the way up to adulthood. Our children grew up together. Um, when I was going through things, she was there for me and vice versa. Me and this girl, we walked uptown together. When I tell you we was walking the streets of Georgetown, the streets of uptown Northwest, the go-go's we used to go to, the Ben's Chili Bowl, the everything I had, all the go-go's. When I tell you me and her, we had some times, but we experienced so much together that it was very disheartening when our friendship had to be over. So what happened was, if you're familiar with the app called Marco Polo, a person can leave a message and then you can either watch it live or you can listen to it later. So when I listened to it later, I was on my way to church and I was driving. And I stopped at this gas station because it was kind of long. And I was like, wait a minute, I think she's talking about me. So she's on Marco Polo saying all of these things like she thinks she this, she thinks she that, she ain't this, she ain't that. So she never once mentioned my name. But what she did mention was a guy's name who I was dating. And even though his name is whatever his name is, I used to shorten it. And so she called it the way that I shortened his name. So that's how I knew that she was talking about him. So I was like, oh my gosh, she's talking about me. So I sat at the gas station. I called my sister. So I was able to download it to my phone and I sent it to my sister. So she was like, oh, she definitely talking about you. So she had mentioned that she only got 2 degrees. She got them later on in life. Like she said all of these kind of things. Like it was very hurtful that a person who I thought was my friend was saying all these things to me. So what I did, as calmly as I'm talking to y'all too, I got on Marco Polo and said, this sounds really like you're talking about me. Huh. And so as I'm talking, I can see that she's live on Marco Polo. So I said, but I'm woman enough to give you a call. So I try to call her. She would not answer the phone. I tried to call her like 3 or 4 times. She would never answer the phone. So I say this. I say, this is so sad. This is so sad because nothing can really fix what just happened. And so I said, it's unfortunately, we can never be friends because I can never trust you. And my reason for feeling like that is because I don't know who she was talking to, but she never mentioned my name. So to me, that meant you've been talking about me because this person knows who I am. The fact that you didn't have to say my name, that person knows who I am. Because you didn't have to say my name for this person to have a conversation with you or the alleged person you thought you were having a conversation with. So I was like, for that reason, you've been talking about me like that. I was like so livid. Now, good thing I was going to church because I could have whipped my truck around and went another way. But I'm so happy that I have a little bit of grace and a little bit of growth. That I did not act a fool because of that. Because you know what? It is truly your opinion about whatever you feel about me. It is none of my business of what you feel about me. But what I can tell you for sure, you will never get the chance to experience me like that again. And so
ever.
Exactly. After that, I came home and I told my parents. So I'm trying to explain this to my parents, right? And so one of the comments the girl kept on saying is, yeah, I could shit on her if I want to, but I ain't, like that. And so my mother was like, why would she want to shit on you? Like she thought it was literally like that. And I was like, no, Mom, that's not what she mean like that. But my mother was like, why would she want to do a thing like that? And so then my father, he just sat there and said, I've been telling you she was crazy. My father said this for all her life. Like he never cared for her. Then when I'm telling my girlfriends, because I got 1,000,009 girlfriends, I'm telling my girlfriends about it. All of them said, none of them liked her. I was like, and nobody never said a thing. Nobody never said a word.
Wow.
Yeah.
They want to protect. They probably wanted to protect you and not.
So did anyone make
you feel like you had to.
Say it again.
Like not one person, how like some one of your friends might say, or they, this like the flags, like you would be talking to that friend and they just be like, oh, all right, I'm gonna go head over here, like nothing.
No, so nobody said that, but my sister has always been like that about her. But she was like, she rough around the edges, she from around the way, like so we knew that she was a little rough, but that's what make everybody individual. That's just with her. So
Right.
I never judged her for her not being the same way I was. But it's so funny because her brother always called me princess, because I guess I am the opposite of her.
Mhm.
But when I tell you that today she's still my friend on Facebook, she like everything I post. When I got engaged, she was like, "Oh, congratulations!" All of that. I don't have no words for her. I'm going to let her watch my life move on without her. That's how I am. But when I tell you who don't play about me, is that youngest sister of mine. When all of this happened, she got on Facebook and she was like, "You did everything she ever wanted to say." She said it. So the girl kept taking stuff down, and my sister probably did this for like a week. Like, she kept posting stuff every day for like a week on the girl page. But yeah, and so even with that, I am so not a messy person that her girlfriend, and I know her girlfriend because again we've been friends for years, wanted to take a hand dance class at my class, and she came, and we had a good time. She learned how to dance. She did all of the things. I never once said anything bad about this girl. I never said anything about her, to be honest. And her brother actually dates a girl at my church. And every time he see me, he'd be like, "Hey, princess, give me love, give me hugs," all of that. And I give him love back too, because my beef is not with him or anybody else. My beef is with her. And I just choose not to engage in a conversation with her, because there's nothing you can say to me. She can't even apologize. She can't do anything to ever have a friendship like that. I'm thinking we like sisters of 50-something years. I'm thinking we like sisters at this point. And I could never. And I was telling my sister, I was like, her mother is elderly, like in her 80s or something. And I was like, if something were to happen to her mother, I would go to her mom's funeral, because her mother was very good to me and a very sweet lady, and don't have anything to do with our beef. So I would do that. I would hug everybody. And I keep on saying I wouldn't hug her, but in my heart I probably would, but I probably won't, because I don't know. I don't think I could. I don't think I could.
Well, no, once the trust and friendship, love, relationships, any type of thing, it's hard to get it back. And, even if she was kind of rough around the edges for, some time, the trust in that, like once it's cracked, it's like a wine glass. Once it's cracked, even as many times you try to put it and glue it back together, that crack is still going to be there. And sometimes, just the growth part of what you're saying, right, of just walking away, respectfully, like, deuces, baby, because we can't do this again.
Yeah, never.
So, and at that moment, like with mine, we have, secrets from way back in the day in elementary, junior high school, or class and stuff like that. I was, really kind of surprised. I don't know whether it was like, in my case, I don't know whether she was thinking like, okay, well, we're going to talk about your friend over here. Like I was going to get with it. And I was like, at this age, I don't do that. But I don't play about this one over here. Yeah. So when I waited, I was like, hey, baby, like never one bites the dust. It's all right. Such is life. God taketh and he giveth, right? He give you another one. So
yeah. It's unfortunate. It really is.
It is.
And just think about the person being taken away.
That's true. But like, Ree, how do you think, like, even going forward, like on birthdays and things like that? Because y'all probably used to do things because, like, you have a very busy schedule. Very busy schedule. So, like your groups, your social groups and stuff like that. How is that without that particular person in your life?
So she never was a part of my social group people. She was always an individual friend. Now, what I can tell you is that she was very territorial of me. I never mixed my friends, but only on my birthday. Like whatever I'm doing on my birthday, I would invite my friends to. And she would be so snippy with my friends that they was like, they not fooling with her, right? But I just knew that was her personality. So that didn't bother me. So one of the times that I miss her is New Year's Eve. If y'all remember, well, Tiffany, you might not know this, but back in the day, downtown at the post office pavilion, they used to drop the stamp like how they do in New York.
Mhm.
So me and her used to celebrate New Year's Eve together all the time. So I think about her during those times. And then more recently, a guy who grew up around the way, he goes to the gym with me in the morning. So I see him all the time. And I would love to have a conversation to be like, guess what? I feel like that gym. I can't do that. So it's things like that that make me think about her. Or and like I said, our kids grew up together. So every now and then my son may say, Mom, remember this? And you know, he reminiscing about a childhood something with her kids. And it's things like that. But I don't tell my son I ain't talking to her. I don't do any of that. My parents know, my sister know, and y'all know. And then whoever listens to this podcast, and I hope she do and know who I'm talking about too.
But do you think like you had like a grieving part from it? Because like sometimes, like I think with me, we did not really hang out, since like junior high, but like some of our conversations that we had was like she had the best like sense of humor. Like I can, if I had a rough day, like she could always make me laugh with something. So when I tried to weigh, I can just say that, the friend that I was, really, really territorial about, like, hey, I don't play about her. Like I waited, but like to miss just that conversation every now and again. You know how like you run into somebody in the store and you be like, how's your mother? How's your father? And she could always say something like, I don't know. Like she could have been a comedian because she just always like, it was just her voice. And, I always say like, I said, DC, we have like this accent and she just had it down pat. And I would be like she could just say anything in class. She could say anything and I'm going to laugh. So,
I was like that with her for real. Like she was a very good friend to me. And when I say that, I'm saying I'm telling the bad part, but I'm telling the good part too. She was a very good friend to me. I had some relationships and I was down and out, and she'd be like, girl, come on, we getting out the house. She was that kind of friend. Like she gonna pull you up. We going somewhere. F him. She was a good friend. So for those reasons, I do miss that. And I did grieve our relationship because she was my friend my whole life. Before I even had my own sister, she was my friend. So yeah, I grieved our relationship. Do I miss her still? Sometimes. Sometimes something comes on and it reminds me of her. I miss her, but I had to tell myself that it's okay to leave, chapters behind because I'm still writing the story, and she just not part of these chapters. She was part of the first part of the book, but this second act, she's just not a part of it. And I feel like it was for me to grow because I held on to something that I should have let go a long time ago. But for me, God, he funny. He was like, he always, for me, because I'm so hard-headed, it got to be something big and dramatic for me to get the lesson. So that was the lesson. That was my lesson.
Sometimes that happens. It sometimes that happens. God get you open your eyes. Like and that's why I asked, like, was it some flags or something like prior to, because like when you leave relationships and they say you missed the red flags or you didn't see this, you didn't see that. Like I was walking away. I saw it when she came over, like how you said your friends had said something. Like every time she would come over, I would walk away, and then I probably would have been like, "Oh, Dad, you sure was." Like, what was like? It's
nothing. Only thing.
But when you love somebody, it's real hard to see it.
That part.
Tiffany, say that again.
That part.
I just love somebody. It's hard to see.
It really is. And I just think the only thing that I saw for sure was she didn't play well with my other friends. But I just chalked that up to, she just kind of territorial, and I left it at that. And so I didn't bring her around anybody but once a year and
Was she
left it
introvert?
alone. Hmm.
Was she an introvert? Do
She
you think?
she is a extroverted introvert. I would say yes.
Mm-hmm. Because most people that are territorial to me, and I say in the book of Shadon, is kind of introverted.
Mm-hmm. And she would always describe herself as a misfit. Those were her words. She would say, I'm a misfit, because she wasn't like fashionably whatever. She was just kind of do her own thing, and if she wore it, she wore it, and she didn't care. Like, she was that kind of person. So she would always call herself a misfit. But yeah, it just happens to be that she was my longest friendship. And when I tell you, I have so many groups of girlfriends, and I really feel like I'm a very good friend. Like, I try to be intentional about everybody who's in my life. Like, I try to make sure that I nurture the relationships that I have with everybody. So I'm a big person. Like, when it's all said and done, my conscience is always going to be clear. That's how I feel about a lot of things. So I try to be the best daughter to my parents. I try to be the best parent I could be to my kids. So, and I try to be the best friend I could be to my friends as well. So I don't have any, like, I wish I would have. I don't have any kind of that with her, because I know I was a good friend to her.
You probably were. Like, sometimes,
right.
Like, let me ask this, because I swear I'm stuck on these red flags. Like did her voice change or anything? Like, I want to know, because I am a red flag misser. Girl, I need to have my glasses on, but a red flag misser. Like, with this particular girl that I was talking about, there was some, now that I see it. Like, it was some questions that was asked, but I didn't pay attention because I'm the innocent person in it. Like, she had, ulterior motives. But I, like, now, once she, it came like in my face, like, y'all not together this weekend. Hey, like, you can hear that. But she was like, what you doing this weekend? What's going on? Y'all going in, so and so. I didn't think nothing. But when how somebody give you that, yeah, that, I'm like, what? No,
it was nothing. It was really nothing. And even when I had decided to go back to school in my 40s to college, she was like encouraging. She was like, oh, that's good. Like, I'm telling you, nothing gave me an indication that she had these feelings towards me. And that's one of the things I said in my message to her. Like, I'm woman enough to have a conversation with you, but if you felt some kind of way about me, and you should have had a conversation with me a long time. Ain't no way I would have held nothing for no years about nobody.
Right.
I'm not that person. I'm not that person.
Okay.
Me either. Well, ladies, this has been great participation. Thank you both for your good commentary and suggestions and comments. You all give such great insight, different perspectives. That's what we're bringing here. And I just want to thank all the listeners for coming on. This was a great discussion. If we can just do what we do on Courts and Convo and raise our glass, we want to raise our glass and just thank everybody for joining. And here's to another episode of On Court Conversations with Courts and Convo. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.